This time I'd like to call our meeting to order. This meeting, usually at the end of every year, we have a Christmas meeting and we bring in a priest from one of our local parishes to do the invocation. And we usually bring in someone to sing. Over the last few years, it has been Rosemary McGione-Stutsky, who will do some Christmas carols. So at this time, I'd like to stand and have Father James do an invocation.
Prayer. God, creator of all, we thank you for this season of hope and peace. Give to all of us a share in these gifts of your creation, and may we continue to work for peace among all people of goodwill, and let your grace and strength assist those who are weak and suffering. May all leaders in our nation and our local community continue to work for improving our quality of life, so that we will always share the goods of the earth with everyone. Bless this night of song and work, so that our new year will continue to provide for us security, peace, and the comfort of knowing that you are the God we adore, and we are the people you love, forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
We salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to do a roll call, please?
Mr. Lutz? Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Brunel? Present. Mr. Rodriguez? Here. Mr. Musi?
Here.
Mr. Sabatini?
Here.
Mr. Polensky? Mr. Di Giuseppe?
Here. Again, for the record, Mr. Polensky is on 3 to 11, and that's why he's not at tonight's meeting. Borough Council decided last week when we talked about maybe not filling the on a seat of the mayor, who had to resign early to take a seat on the school board. And I have a speech I would like to read once this is done. So at this time, I'm going to ask for an appointment, a motion to appoint.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution to appoint Joseph Ferruggio Jr., Mayor, to fill the unexpired term of Mayor Joseph Saxon.
Second. Second by Mr. Sabatini. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, as many of you may or may not know, we are honoring an individual tonight who is a lifelong Bristolian that was born and raised in the North Ward. At 76 years old, he has had numerous campaigns for mayor of Bristol over the past 30 years, some in which he came very close, and some, unfortunately, not so close. So even though we didn't need to fill this unexpired term of our former Mayor Joe Saxon, we felt that it would be a fitting gesture to extend him this honor. For all the campaigns, he has always remained proud of our little town, and it is safe to say that he has been one of Bristol's goodwill ambassadors wherever he has traveled. He graduated from Bristol High School in 1952 and then attended St. Joe's University in Philadelphia and Indiana University of Pennsylvania. His family business has been an important part of the borough since 1920, and over the years he has given thousands of hours to his community. His health has not been great over the past few years, and about a year ago or so has suffered a stroke, and Joe wanted me to know that when he does speak, he doesn't speak as clear as he would like to. But this has not stopped him from constantly working to improve Bristol Borough and making it a better place to live. Even though he is a lifelong registered Republican, I know I speak for the entire Borough Council when I say that it is an honor during this holiday season to cross party lines and bestow a Christmas wish on someone who truly deserves it. From this point forward, Mr. Joe Ferrugio Jr. will forever be known as Mayor Joe Ferrugio Jr. And it is my honor to bring you... His sister wants to come up and hold the Bible for him. And whoever you want to bring up. I have a Bible in my Whoever wants to come up from Joe's family, feel free to come up and stand here with him. I have one on my desk. I remember last year we didn't.
There it is.
There's one.
Use Jim's.
Come on up. That's right, come on up.
Joe, you ready? Place your hand on the Bible. Repeat after me.
I, Joseph Ferrugio Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will solemnly swear to support and obey and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and I will perform the duties of my office
and I will perform the duties of my office
as Mayor of the Borough of Bristol
as Mayor for the Borough of Bristol
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations, you're a so sworn. Congratulations, Joe.
Joe would like the honor of Mr. Fitzpatrick and Mr. Falks to come up and stand with him for a picture, and also if either one of you would like to say anything. Mary, if you want to come up, you're welcome. Mr. Falks is the head of the Republican Party in Bucks County. And Mr. Fitzpatrick is our former congressman.
All I want to say is that when I heard that Joe Ferrugio was going to be named the mayor for the unexpired term of Joe Saxton, I called your council president, Ralph DiGiuseppe, and said, Ralph, I think this is about the classiest thing that I've seen in Bucks County in years. This is really a great thing. It's a great thing for the town. This is a town that we all love. It's a great town with a great history, with a lot going for it. And the most important thing it has going for it are its people. People like Joe and his family who employ folks, who work hard, as Ralph said, volunteer a lot of hours. And a great town, I think, just got a lot better because in the annals of history of Bristol Borough, you'll be able to look back and say, in the line of wonderful mayors that have served this town, Joe Ferrugio Jr. was one of them. So, congratulations.
I'm not great at making speeches, but I'm proud to be here. People say, well, they're Democrats. I said, don't make no difference what people is. We're all part of it. The borough has been here for years. I know when we had the bridge built down there, and I had a little argument with somebody, they just wanted to put posts underneath the bridge. I got them to build that new bridge down there. I'm proud of that. Makes a good job. A lot of things. We can all work together. What's best. This is my buddy. I've known him for years. He's in there and he's going to do a good job. I don't know. He might be at the mic, but I don't know.
You have to excuse me the way I speak. I would like to thank council for this appointment. It is something I have always wanted. This council has made many improvements in the borough and has done a wonderful job in making this town a great place to live. I have always been proud to be a resident of historical Bristol Borough. I wish my mother, father, brothers, and sister would have lived to see me become mayor, but I am fortunate to have 4 sisters still with me and all my nieces and nephews who are proud of this day as much as I am. I want to thank council again for this opportunity. Thank you, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to all the borough residents.
So you don't complain, Joe, because we know you're going to be complaining. I think in my 8 years here, Joe, this is probably one of the best days for me personally.
For all of us.
Just so you know, you got, it's not going to cost you anything, because I know you're worried. After the meeting, you do have some things you will sign into law, our budget, our trash contract, and some other things. So your signature will go down on about 5 or 6 items that will remain in this borough for forever. So you will be signing some bills into law.
Thank you.
At this time, it gives me great honor to introduce Rosemary McGoney-Stutsky, who every year brings joy to our Christmas season. Last year we had Mr. Mario.
And his wife,
He
and
sang
his wife.
for us and Helen finished.
Yeah.
Rosemary, you want to step up?
Please join with me, deck the halls with
Bells of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, la 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 la. come to love very dearly. And one of the funniest things I found out was that Jingle Bells is not a Christmas song at all. It was written for Thanksgiving Day. But, as tradition goes, it never was sung on Thanksgiving Day. It is always sung in Christmas. So join me. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bright was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lank, misfortune seemed his lot. We ran into a drifted bank, and there we got upsot. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. One of the best things about Bristol, I think, is that we have everyone. Truly, Bristol Borough is a melting pot of nationalities and of religions as well. And right down the street, we have one of the oldest synagogues in Bucks County. And they're celebrating the Festival of Lights, or Hanukkah. And this is your traditional Hanukkah song that is especially loved by children. Some of you may know that I teach second grade. So we've been singing this song since December 1st, and they were very excited when it finally got here on Friday night for their first gifts. So if you could join with me. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. It has a lovely body, with legs so short and thin, and when my dreidel's tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. My dreidel's always playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play now, let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Now, we in Bristol are very happy, safe, and sound. And on Saturday evening at St. Anne's Church, we had the honor of inviting one of our parishioners who came back from Afghanistan, and we got to kind of salute him and thank him with our applause and our genuine thoughts for him. And we have, in our parish, we have an altar that has soldiers and police officers and firefighters' pictures on it, and we pray for them to keep them safe. And I came across a poem that's called A Different Christmas Poem, and it goes like this. The embers glowed softly and their dim light. I gazed around the room and I cherished the sight. My wife was asleep, her head on my chest. My daughter beside me, angelic in rest. Outside the snow fell, a blanket of white, transforming the yard into a winter delight. The sparkling lights in the tree, I believe, completed the magic that was Christmas Eve. My eyelids were heavy,
my breathing was deep. Secure and surrounded, my love I would sleep. In perfect contentment, or so it would seem. So I slumbered, perhaps, and I started to dream. The sound wasn't loud, and it wasn't too near, but I opened my eyes when it tickled my ear. Perhaps just a cough, I didn't quite know it. And then the sure sound of footsteps outside in the snow. My soul gave a tremble, I struggled to hear, and I crept to the door just to see who was near. Standing out in the cold and in the dark of night, a lone figure stood, his face weary and tight. A soldier, I puzzled, some 20 years old, perhaps a Marine huddled there in the cold. Alone in the dark, he looked up and smiled, standing watch over me and my wife and my child. "What are you doing?" I asked without fear. "Come in this moment. It's freezing out there. Put down your pack, brush the snow from your sleeve. You should be home on this cold Christmas Eve." For barely a moment, I saw his eyes shift away from the cold and the snow blown in drifts to the window that danced with a warm fire's light. Then he sighed and said, "It's really all right. I'm out here by choice. I'm here every night. My duty to stand at the front of the line. That separates you from the darkest of times. No one had to ask or beg or implore me. I'm proud to stand here like my fathers before me. My Grants died at Pearl on a day in December." Then he sighed. "That's a Christmas Grant always remembered. My dad stood his watch in the jungles of Nam, and now it's my turn, and so here I am. I've not seen my own son in more than a while, but my wife sends me pictures. He sure got her smile." Then he bent and he carefully pulled from his bag the red, white, and blue, an American flag. I can live through the cold and being alone, away from my family, my house, and my home. I can stand at my post through the rain and the sleet. I can sleep in a foxhole with little to eat. I can carry the weight of the killing of another, or lay down my life for a sister or brother, who stand at the front against any and all to ensure that for time that this flag will not fall. So go back inside, he said, harbor no fright. Your family is waiting and I'll be all right. But isn't there something I can do at the least? Give you money, I asked, or prepare you a feast? It seems all too little for all that you've done, for being away from your wife and your son. Then his eyes welled a tear that held no regret. Just tell us you love us and never forget to fight for the rights back at home while we're gone, to stand your own watch no matter how long. For when we come home, either standing or dead, to know you remember we fought and we bled is payment enough, and with that we will trust that we mattered to you as you mattered to us. I thought of this poem when we were giving our soldier a round of applause. So could you stand with me and give our soldiers a round of applause? I was requested to sing this most beautiful song that started on a hilltop somewhere in Vermont. It goes like this. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. When I planned our program, I inserted "Let there be peace on earth," and at the time I didn't know that Mayor Purjo was going to be Mayor Purjo. But that is a really loved song by you and your family, and especially his sister, Aunt Angie
Thank you.
Marino. So I was glad to have it in the program
Thank
for
you.
you, too. One song that has been translated into almost every language in the world is Silent Night. And so we sing, Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep
wonders of His love, and wonders of His love, and wonders, wonders of His love. And then to wish everyone, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We want some figgy pudding, we want some figgy pudding, we want some figgy pudding and a cup of good cheer. We won't go until we get some, we won't go until we get some, we won't go until we get some, so bring it down here. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good job, Rosemary.
Tomorrow night.
Yes, I was.
If you want to hear Rosemary sing, she's at St. Anne's every Saturday night at 5:30 and every Sunday.
So is Father James
And
now.
No, I can sing by myself though, so thank you all for singing with me.
we give Rosemary a round of applause. One good thing about this Christmas meeting, I finally get an opportunity to have my wife and my daughter come to a meeting who never attends because they don't like politics, but they're here for Christmas.
And they're going to sing a song for us.
I know my mom, who is recovering from a fall since September, who broke 7 ribs and a couple vertebrae, would have loved to have been here, and I know she'll be watching this meeting at home, so it was special to her also. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up public participation. I don't know if anybody tonight has anything to say on this side of the room. This side of the room. That ends public participation.
Christmas, Mayor?
Merry Christmas, Mike. Number 2 on the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 16th, the minutes of the special public meeting of December 8th, the council work session of December 8th, the police and fire report for November, the treasurer's report for October, and the inspection report for November.
Second. Second by Mr. Sabatini. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, at the minutes of November 16th meeting, under other business, page 7, there is no mention of the fact that I asked Mr. Dillon if he had received the rough draft of the Economy League report that was sent to him in June. It's not in the minutes.
I think Mr. Dillon answered that when he spoke to
It's not in the minutes.
Mr. Dillon. We had it. I don't want to get into that
Not in the
tonight.
minutes.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 2010 budgets as amended.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, the amendment that we received tonight, is it fair to assume that the only adjustment was to the medical cost?
Yes, and the adjustment that was discussed at the council's work session dealing with setting up the power squad and putting additional funds in for police equipment, vehicles, and computer maintenance. They're the only 3 changes.
Questions?
There's still no increase.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make an ordinance to adopt the 2010 tax ordinance.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Trinnell. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to adopt an ordinance imposing the 2010 assessment of $360 per unit for the removal of garbage and refuse within Bristol Borough.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
I'd like to make a resolution supporting the TMA Bucks application to the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission for fiscal year 2011, funding for the Bristol Rush Bus Service.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to adopt a motion to authorize the filing of recycling performance grant application by Hogue Associates per proposal date 10/1/09 in the amount of $7,000.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Trinnell. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before we adjourn, I'm on record of saying this is 5 straight years that this borough has not had a tax increase to borough residents. 5 straight years, so I think we're doing a great job. And before we end, our former mayor just would like to speak on whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I forget, I want to wish everyone here and everybody in the whole town a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. I asked the chairman if I could speak to him about being involved, and it's been my pleasure since 1986 to have been an elected official, as I like to use the term, in Bristol Borough. First being a councilman, and then the last 8 years as the mayor. If it wasn't for Tom Corrigan in 1986, I was so happy to support to become a state representative, and he got elected, and he made a recommendation to the council back at that time to appoint me to the East Ward Council seat. And from that point forward, I had the opportunity to work, and I went through and counted all the different people that I've had the opportunity to work with over the last 24, 25 years as elected officials. There were 24 councilmen and women in the time that I've been here. And there's a reason why I'm going to go through some of this, and I think you'll see at the end. And some of those people are still sitting here today. I see former Councilman Frank Scordia, who I also worked with, and you're going to hear that repeatedly in what I talk about. I've worked with 2 solicitors, Rich Snyder and Bill Salerno. In some cases, 24 council people may not sound like a lot in 20 or so years, but it's the whole point of this Bristol community thing. 3 tax collectors, Jim Nealis, Frank Scordia, and our current tax collector, Annabelle Larissy, who is more than just a tax collector. She's the vital part of this borough government as a tax collector, but also very vital to what goes on in this town and supports a lot of different efforts, whether it's through the churches or historic groups or through the borough government. 2 borough managers, Fidel Esposito and Jim Dillon. I'm very happy to have been the mayor over especially the last 5 years in working with Jim Dillon. He brought a new outlook to the borough, keeps us focused, even though we give him a lot of direction in what we would like to accomplish. I think he's one of, if not the best borough managers in Bucks County, and I'm glad we have him. 3 police chiefs I've had the pleasure to work with. Rich Barimba, Frank Parento, who is now our judge, and Chief Porter. two fire chiefs, Andy Meyer, who happened to be my brother-in-law, and Herb Slack, who do an outstanding job, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Two EMA coordinators, and emergency management, you don't really think about it until there's a major storm, something, a major event where we need the coordination of all the different services. And that was Dennis Crilly, who was passed on, and Merle Winslow, who is our current EMA. 25 or 30 borough administrative, highway, and sewer workers, Angie, Bridget, Carol, George Waldron, people that I've had the opportunity over the last couple of years to work with, who have helped me as a councilman and also as the mayor. Oh, and one, I forgot one. We've had one borough assistant in my time, administrative assistant. And almost in everybody's time, and that's Maria Fields. Longer than anybody.
She was hired when she was sick.
So, for the last 23, 24 years, I want to thank you for working along with me and supporting me. Also, too, we don't get a lot of things done without a lot of cooperation. It just so happens I had put down some other people here tonight that I've had the opportunity to work with, and they were county commissioners at that time, Mike Fitzpatrick, Charlie Martin, Jim Cawley, Sandy Miller, and Diane Marsaglia. And Mike, of course, is in the audience tonight. You don't get a lot in a borough to work with. You've got to go out there and bang doors and work along with your county and your state and your federal government. And the people in this room and the other previous 24 people I worked with, I think did a pretty good damn job with that. Especially when you look at, we're a tiny little Bristol Borough, heavily Democratic. And for years, we've been surrounded by an awful lot of Republican counties and state government and federal government. Yet I think pound for pound, dollar for dollar, we probably get more money that comes into this town than a lot of the Republicans' towns. But we deliver, that's the difference. State Senators Tommy Tomlinson and Craig Lewis. Now, some of the people in this room are a little bit younger than some of us here, so you might not remember these names, but they were people that brought dollars, that worked with us on council to make a lot of projects happen. State Reps Tom Corrigan, John Galloway, Congressman Jim Greenwood, Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick, and Patrick Murphy, who's our current congressman. We work with all these people, and I've had the pleasure to work with them on local projects and on federal and state projects. And as Republican Chairperson Harry Falk said, a lot of times over the years there's been a lot of give and take and discuss. Pick up the phone and call the Republican chairman and can you help us? Also along with our Democratic Party Chairman John Cordisco. So all these people have played a very important part in all of our success, and especially for me, I want to say thank you to all of them. Since 1986, I've worked on quite a few major projects, what I consider major to this town. And there are a few people in here over the late 90s, early 2000s, when I was still a council person that I had the opportunity to work with. The Riverfront Lions Park revitalization. We took the front of the waterfront down there and we put in all new steel sheet piling, redid Lions Park, put a lot of improvements in to the tune of about $3 million. We couldn't have done that without state federal aid and the Grundy Foundation, who are partners in a lot of things that we do. Along with that was the Mill Street revitalization, new sidewalks, new trees, new store facades. There was a project called a Main Street Manager Project. Current council was bringing a form of that back to help us beef up the Mill Street area. Back then, it was probably in worse condition than it is today, and it's not for a lack of any effort on anybody's part. It's the economic times that we're in. The Riverside Theater, replacing a XXX adult theater with a state-of-the-art performing theater, Riverside Theater, that is recognized in the region, not just in Bristol or in Bucks County, but in the region as one of the premier theaters to attend. Spurline Park, I think, is one of the biggest projects that I'm proud of, because if you lived here, as I have all my life, you remember the trains going through town, blocking Mill Street or blocking Beaver Street, or some of the leaks that we had in large fires that we had with tank cars right in the middle of town. So getting that out of the town and putting that walkway in, which, you know, on any given day, there are hundreds of school children, senior citizens, people a little bit younger like myself, you know, walking and using the path, you know, and it's been probably one of the best projects we did. And that didn't happen, you know, without companies like Roman Hawes and our state representative and our congressman at that time, and the borough, which at that time, we really didn't have any money to do the projects. I mean, I can tell you that I remember one year as a councilman, when we had just sold Commerce Park, to balance the budget, we sold 6 ton of dirt in order to balance the budget. I mean, we really actually sold 6 ton of dirt because we needed, you know, the $2,000 to balance the budget back then. As I said, Commerce Park, that was a project that was started before I came on in 1986, but, you know, we had a little golf course out there, a little executive course. We got $9,000 a year rent. That's all we got. And when I came on there, a lot of people were complaining, oh, you should have never sold it, closed it. You know, we had a $4.2 million, back in those days, it was called a UDAG grant from the federal government, that we were going to get all that money back. Well, the developer went bankrupt. We didn't get that $4.2 million, but we did, collectively as a council, work together to put new stores out there, which created hundreds of jobs initially. It may not be the busiest shopping center and the biggest right now, but back in that day, we were able to bring a lot of new jobs and stores that were never here before. The Bristol Marsh and Conservation Area, and I'm talking about small projects and big projects and mainly things that work on tax dollars. We also had a concern about the environment down along behind the Mill Street parking lot. There are 2 overlook areas. There are 6 aquatic plants in Pennsylvania that only grow in that marsh. So that's a big thing with the environmentalists. And we've preserved that area along with, worked along with Roman Hawes, Dow, the borough, and the Conservancy. Canal Restoration Project. Not sure if any of you remember that. When this town, along with, spearheaded with, by State Representative Tom Corrigan, relined the whole canal with a bed of clay. The largest volunteer project in the state of Pennsylvania, $6 million of labor donated to do that project, and $200,000 of money. $6 million of labor, largest project. Memorial Field restoration, you know, that's something that this council has worked on, especially over the last couple of years. I don't think you'll find a better facility if you travel around. I was involved with an acquisition demolition program to eliminate blight in various parts of the town. I think we were very successful in that, in changing some of the neighborhoods that became a little bit run down, and it cost a lot of money. And we didn't have money back then. There wasn't a lot of grant money. Route 13 traffic study for Bucks County and the Bucks County Waterfront Study Commission. The Route 13 project hopefully is going to come to fruition within the next year or two. I know the current council is working on finalizing, and I know I attended a meeting with the borough manager on some of the issues along Route 13. And the Waterfront Study Commission, we have grants in. Hopefully we're going to get some money, you know, from that. Over the last 8 years, I'm most proud of establishing the Bristol Rush Bus with the Bucks County TM Executive Director Bill Rickert. And that was a project I worked on in the beginning when my first term of office. But it wouldn't have happened again without Tom Corrigan and Tommy Tomlinson presenting $15,000 to the borough that allowed me to put together a survey that enabled the Bucks County TMA later on to create the Rush Bus, which I'm not sure a lot of you know. I'm not going to go through the whole litany of it, but basically it takes people who don't have cars, who come in on the train to different job points in Bristol Borough. Now, my ultimate goal was that there would be a loop bus service that would go Mill Street to Wawa and around town a couple times a day. Hopefully, and I know Councilwoman Trinnell and I have talked about this, and Council President Pete Giuseppe, hopefully down the road we can make that happen. But that Rush Bus wouldn't have happened without federal money from then Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick, who helped me also in establishing the Rush Bus. So, you know, helping the Bristol Borough Community Partnership, which is a local group to establish themselves as a true community group in this town that focuses on youth and community and getting people involved in their community and looking at doing analysis of what are the challenges out there facing our children and what programs can we bring in from the United Way and Family Services, groups like that can help us. Also in creating the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. I'm very proud. One of the things I wanted to do from the beginning as a mayor is to get our kids in our town more involved and getting them to understand what it means to be part of your community. And I feel good about it, but I don't feel good enough that we could have got a lot more kids. Over 5 years, I had about 40 kids involved in this project, which introduced them to their leaders in this room, got them a chance to talk to the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, and understand what they do, and then actively be involved in various projects that we've done in town. Martin Luther King Day, filling some of the food pantries, some of the borough cleanups, the annual cleanups that we do, and getting kids to understand what it means to live in Bristol Borough. And fortunately also, I was able to take them down to see their Congressman Mike Fitzpatrick at the time, also to Patrick Murphy, go up to the State House and visit Representative Corrigan and up to the county commissioners. And expose our kids to the leaders in their, not even their local community, but, you know, also in the federal government. Improvements to the police department, new equipment, new technology, new building, increasing the number of officers in the Bristol Borough Police Department. And that was this council that made that happen over the last 5 years. And again, working along with the Grundy Foundation and working along with then Congressman Fitzpatrick in getting us a $250,000 technological grant that allowed us to put computers and new CSI equipment, you know, and Congressman Murphy also being there to help us. But the key piece was this council. In closing, the last 4 years have been the most productive improvements, I've seen the most productive improvements in our town that have addressed the quality of life issues and a reorganization of government that will last for many years to come. I truly believe that. Not forsaking all the work that we've all done over this last 20-plus years, but really in the last 4 years, this collective group of government workers, and not just the elected officials, but everybody that works here in Bristol Borough, has truly, truly worked to make this town really a great place to be in. And if anybody tells you any different, tell them to look around. Stand up and be counted. And tell them, or ask them, what is it that you don't like, that you don't see that you don't like? Is it the clean streets? You don't like those. You don't like your leaves being picked up, the garbage being picked up on time. You don't like the police department out there focusing in on areas of concern that are identified by members in this council, identified by the police, the mayor, as areas of where quality of life can be an issue. And it's just not in one part of town, it's the whole town that we address. And we do this as a collective group of people. So the next time that somebody says to you that council is not doing their job, the mayor's not doing his job, tell them specifically, tell me what it is that you don't like. You don't like the fact that I think the council president said no tax increases in 5 years. They've just renegotiated a new trash hauling contract. I still believe that we have the cheapest trash pickup in the county. I may be wrong, but it's nowhere near when you talk to other people what they're paying and the service that they don't get. So my whole point, and before I finish with that point, I want to go to, I had 3 people who primarily worked for me as the mayor. And the first person was Arnie Porter, our police chief. There is not, I don't care who you bring to me, I would tell you there's not an employee in this borough who works any harder than the police chief. who puts in a lot of time and a lot of effort every day. Every day. I know I'm taking a little bit more time than I asked the council president for, but I told him it might be 15 minutes. But I've had the opportunity to work with Arnie over the last 8 years. Had the opportunity, the time I've been here, to see him go from patrolman to sergeant to, the police chief. So I want to say thank you for making my job easy for 8 years. I know we didn't always agree, but you always gave me a good reason of either why I should or shouldn't do something, and I greatly appreciate that. Chief of the Fire Department, Herb Slack. I've been a volunteer fireman for 45 years, not as active as I used to be, but I still attend meetings and so forth. But Herb, you stepped in at a really tough time. You took control, and you've done an excellent job in my estimation, and will continue, to do the job that you do, along with the Tony Riccio and Paul Goslin, who are your deputies. And I want to thank you for all the, the help that you gave me and direction. Last but not least is Merle Winslow, our EMA coordinator. Dennis Crilly was our EMA coordinator, and he had passed away. I am so happy that council agreed with me and appointed Merle to the emergency management coordinator's position, because he took the ball and he ran with that. I'm never concerned if there's a major storm or a major event occurring. Merle is going to be on top of it. He always kept me informed, whether it was 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. I got that phone call that said, we've got this going on, we've got that going on, you need to know, and so forth. I've been talking this long because I've been frustrated over, the last couple of years with what I consider is just pure political jealousy rhetoric that goes on, and I hear it every day. And I've had the opportunity as the outgoing mayor to say that if you are truly dissatisfied with living in this town, you ought to really think about it and maybe reevaluate whether you should stay here or not. Because we offer, it is just unbelievable. You go to, and I'm not saying this to be nasty, but you go to Upper Makefield and Yardley and Falls Township and a lot of the other communities, they don't have what we have. And it's basically the fact that we live here, we've known each other for the most part all of our lives, and we care about our town. And every one of the people that are sitting here today, I tell you, I challenge anybody to find fault with their abilities and what they've accomplished in a very short time. And I'll get off my soapbox, but if anybody in the future would like to discuss that with me or, ask me, Mayor, I didn't understand what you said, I'd be more than happy to explain it to you. God bless all of you and have a nice holiday.
Before we adjourn, Joe, I personally, on a personal level, I really want to thank you for representing this town with respect that you're going to have very hard to fill your shoes. I can tell you that right now. You represented us with class and dignity, and we're truly going to miss you as the mayor of this town.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Irish, you put 8 years in here, and we're going to miss your humor and everything that you brought to the table, and it'll be our honor in January if you and the mayor would come back. We would definitely like to present both of you with an award. And
It's not the same award, though, right?
I don't know.
We'll share.
I don't know what Anthony's going to do without you being to his right. But again, we want to thank you all. Mike, you really represented this town, and you did everything you needed to do.
It's been an honor, it's been a pleasure to serve with everybody. It's been an honor to represent the East Ward.
Still welcome to dinner every first and second Monday of the month.
Thanks.
What's that? Okay. At this time, can I get a motion to adjourn? Mr. Sabatini?
President, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.